Seeing the above scene, you might think that these are kindergarten children calling for their fathers because they miss them. But you wouldn't imagine that these children weren't born naturally, don't share the same mother, but were planned births one by one through the legal surrogacy system in the US. They all share a common father, Xu Bo, a Chinese billionaire. Today, let's talk about how wealthy Chinese individuals use surrogacy to produce American citizens in the US with the aim of building a vast family power. Let's rewind to the summer of 2023 in a Los Angeles family court. Judge Amy Pellman held a confidential hearing for Xu Bo, a Chinese billionaire seeking parental rights for his children. The judge was surprised to discover that the name of 12 unborn and already born children repeatedly appeared under the same applicant, Xu Bo. Xu Bo did not appear in court in person, but rather via video link with the assistance of a translator. Xu Bo stated that due to his long-term residence in China, he hoped to have around 20 children through surrogacy in the US, and that he preferred boys, intending for them to inherit his business empire in the future. Furthermore, during the hearing, Xu Bo admitted that due to his busy work schedule, he had not yet met the children. These children are currently being cared for by a nanny in Irvine, California, awaiting approval to return to China. The judge was deeply shocked by Xu Bo's statement, believing that the purpose of surrogacy should be to help families establish parent-child relationships, not to scale up surrogacy. Ultimately, the judge unusually rejected Xu Bo's application for parentage. This decision leaves some children already born or yet to be born in a state of legal uncertainty in the short term. Xu Bo's case has recently sparked heated discussions again in international media and social media platforms because on December 13th, the Wall Street Journal published an investigative report titled, "The Chinese Billionaire is Having Dozens of US-Born Babies Via Surrogate." The article states that video game executive Xu Bo and other Chinese billionaires have given birth to dozens or even hundreds of babies in the US through surrogate mothers, aiming to create large mega families. However, these individuals are challenging US civil law by skirting the edges of the law, bringing scrutiny to the nannies, IVF agencies, and law firms that assist in these surrogacy plans. Xu Bo is 48 years old this year. He is the chairman of the Chinese online gaming company Douyi Network, and his net worth is $3.9 billion. Xu Bo has long been a vocal advocate for polygamy on social media, opposing women's rights, women's access to higher education, and women's reproductive freedom. Xu Bo himself has publicly expressed his desire for mass reproduction, once writing that he hoped to have 50 high-quality sons. His company recently confirmed that through surrogacy in the US, Xu Bo had fathered over 100 children. Furthermore, in 2024, Xu Bo sued his ex-girlfriend Tong Jing, who identified herself as two girls' mom, over a huge financial dispute. Tong Jing subsequently revealed on Weibo that Xu Bo actually had 300 children, not just 100, a shocking revelation. Let's hear what these bloggers have to say. During the lawsuit, Tong Jing dropped a bombshell, saying that the vast majority of the hundreds of millions of yuan he received over the past decade were used to maintain the daily expenses of Xu Bo's large family with 300 children. When netizens questioned whether she had added an extra zero, she firmly replied, "No, I'll only understate, not overstate." Even more astonishingly, Xu Bo himself seems not to deny this massive childbearing plan. He had previously publicly declared his intention to have children for China, aiming for 50, even proudly calling himself China's first father. According to reports, he sought partners through dating websites while simultaneously using surrogacy to achieve his goal. Tong Jing further accused these children of being treated like lab rats in an experiment, living in a survival of the fittest environment. This Xu Bo openly challenged human ethics and morality by publicly recruiting girlfriends online, requiring them to be fair-skinned, beautiful, and have long legs, as well as exceptionally intelligent, knowledgeable, and educated. He wasn't just recruiting one, he was recruiting widely. These recruited girlfriends had only one core task, to bear him children, as many as possible, and he implied that this would bring the woman a large fortune. When netizens questioned him, he posted pictures of his two girls' mom, Tong Jing, showing that she had already given birth to 2 children for him and was living a very comfortable life. We don't know how many people he recruited afterward. Among Xu Bo's many girlfriends, there is a woman called Tang Jing. According to publicly available information, Tang Jing owns real estate and other assets totaling near 114 million. She later returned 71 million to Xu Bo and still had $43 million in her possession. This Tang Jing is the two girls' mom that Xu Bo lavishly praised on Weibo years ago. There are countless traces online of his claiming that two girls' mom was greedy, only receiving $2,850 a month for living expenses and never asking him for anything. This Tang Jing created a false impression for Xu Bo. I love you for who you are, not for your money. Even if you go bankrupt, I'll still be with you. Furthermore, she essentially acted as the matriarch, managing so many children, each with a different mother. In Xu Bo's mind, Tang Jing was like an empress managing his harem. Yet, this woman whom Xu Bo praised to the skies and used daily as an example to criticize other women, one day absconded with Xu Bo's money. So, Xu Bo confidently sued Tang Jing, certain he could get back his money. However, the court clearly favored Tang Jing, arguing that over the years, Tang Jing and Xu Bo had effectively maintained a de facto marriage. Tang Jing, the person involved in this incident, also appeared in the comments section. One comment asked if Xu Bo hoped these 300 children would directly work for his company. Two girls' mom then said that's exactly what she was thinking. My goodness, this is like something out of a novel. Even novels wouldn't dare write something like this. Xu Bo, the protagonist of this incident, has truly acted against human ethics, and he has no parental relationship with those children, so he can completely evade legal responsibility. Of course, those children with poor abilities will work for him in his company for life. Whether they're paid or not is another matter. Only a select few with strong talent and the ability will inherit his wealth. Having children isn't out of love, but rather a perverse model of wanting to cultivate heirs. Only the elder daughter and the second daughter, Xu Bo, and Tang Jing's children have proper names. According to Tang Jing, two girls have never attended school since birth, and the remaining children have no mother to raise them. The hundreds of boys she raised were all cared for by nannies. How could such children not develop psychological problems later in life? Moreover, Xu Bo himself has family members with mental health issues. I can't imagine what will happen to these hundreds of children when they grow up and enter society. Besides Xu Bo, the Wall Street Journal in its in-depth investigation mentioned another wealthy Chinese businessman, Wang Huiwu, president of the Hope Education Group. He had 10 daughters through surrogacy in the US. He purchased dozens of eggs from models, a finance PhD, and a musician, among others, at a price between $6,000 and $7,500 per egg. According to sources close to Wang Huiwu's company, Wang Huiwu prefers girls, and his sole purpose in having so many daughters through surrogacy is to ensure they marry world leaders or powerful men when they grow up. Another case, on July 15th of this year, a shocking surrogacy scandal was exposed in Southern California. A Chinese-American couple, 65-year-old Guo Juan Xuan and 38-year-old Sylvia Zhang, lived in Arcadia, Los Angeles. The couple registered a surrogacy agency called Mark Surrogacy using their residential address. They then frantically searched for surrogate mothers across the US, including Texas, Florida, and Los Angeles. Many surrogate mothers accepted their services, resulting in 21 children. However, after the children were born, the couple neglected their care, leading to the loss of custody. All 21 children were taken by the police and placed in foster care. Initially, the surrogate mothers believed they were carrying the babies for a couple unable to have a second child due to infertility. However, they recently discovered with shock that they had all been carrying the babies for the same couple, some even simultaneously pregnant. Jiang Feng, host of the American Political Commentary channel, commented on this, saying, Chinese tycoons are using money to pave the way abroad, producing American citizens through surrogacy, with the aim of engaging in a modern version of marriage diplomacy. This in-depth investigation by the Wall Street Journal has once again brought this matter to the forefront, even interviewing insiders to corroborate the existence of this absurd plan. You see, in Xu Bo's eyes, his sons are the heirs to the family business. In the eyes of this chairman Wang, his daughters are high-end diplomatic gifts. These wealthy Chinese see surrogacy as a retaliatory reaction against the one-child policy of the past. They have money and power, protected by the system domestically and using money to pave their way abroad. Even high-ranking CCP officials have joined. Remember Foreign Minister Qin Gong? One of the triggers for his downfall was that he had a child through surrogacy in the US. These are the red freaks born in the context of globalization. They exploit American freedom and technology to produce American citizens, then bring them back to China, turning them into pawns and resources in the power structure. In mainland China, commercial surrogacy has long been explicitly prohibited, but within China's wealthy circles, surrogacy has become an alternative form of reproduction. They are turning their attention to regions like California in the US, where the surrogacy industry is mature, but regulations are less stringent. A complete, mature US surrogacy service system has formed a closed loop, including surrogacy agencies, IVF clinics, law firms, maternity care, nanny companies, and even newborn transportation services. Wealthy clients don't need to travel to the US, they only need to send their genetic materials overseas to complete the entire process, arranging for the birth of a large number of babies and obtaining US citizenship. The cost per child is as high as $200,000. Research shows that between 2014 and 2019, the number of international clients using surrogacy in the US quadrupled, with 41% coming from China. Currently, the US lacks a unified and strict national regulation of surrogacy. Most states allow surrogacy contracts, but there are clear restrictions on the participation of international parents. This regulatory loophole allows wealthy transnational clients to exploit these differences to arrange large-scale surrogacy processes. Therefore, some U.S. lawmakers have processed legislation to limit the participation of foreign citizens in U.S. surrogacy, arguing that this is a necessary measure to uphold national sovereignty and social ethics. Some judges and legal experts believe that such large-scale surrogacy arrangements do not conform to the traditional definitions of family. They may raise issues of child welfare and confirmation of legal status, leading to cautious or even refusal to recognize parents in some court rulings. From an ethical perspective, the profound issue reflected in this event is, where exactly are the boundaries when an individual wielding immense wealth attempts to practice an extreme and controversial set of values? This controversy surrounding 300 children has brought the intense debate about wealth, ethics, reproductive rights, and personal values to the forefront. This is not merely gossip about the private life of a top billionaire, it's a mirror reflecting the challenges faced by traditional family values, social ethics, and legal norms under immense resource inequality. In China, although surrogacy is legally prohibited, in some villages many women still secretly become wealthy through surrogacy. Is it a change in times or a decline in moral character? Let's look at what this blogger says. They give me $285 a month for living expenses, then $1,420 when I'm 3 months pregnant, and from the 5th month onwards $2,840 a month. In a rural area of Henan, rows of new buildings stand tall and impressive, but what you can't imagine is that these houses were built by women in the family through surrogacy. Initially, a very small number of women, introduced by acquaintances, secretly went out in the name of work, hiding it from their families. A year later, she returned home with $28,500, built a new house, and bought designer bags. Gradually, the surrogacy business grew larger and larger, to the point that in the village of only 2,000 people, over 90% of the women have entered this profession. Rows of houses were built on the backs of women who carried babies for 10 months. I interviewed villagers who said, mothers-in-law encourage their daughters-in-law to earn money. Once they have money, the family will be harmonious, and everything will prosper. Having one child can earn hundreds of thousands of RMB, then the mother-in-law won't argue with the daughter-in-law anymore. With money, everything will be prosperous. Also, some say that after one surrogacy, the woman goes on a lavish lifestyle, plays poker, only to go back to surrogacy when the money runs out. After giving birth, they have money and come back living a very carefree life, buying designer bags. Then, when the money runs out, they go on to give birth to more children. Let's hear what the surrogate mothers themselves think. Surrogacy can earn you hundreds of thousands of RMB a year. We work ourselves to the bone and still don't earn much. I work 2 jobs, more than 10 hours a day, and I can only save $570 a month. Seeing this, I really don't know what to say. My heart is filled with mixed feelings. Is this ignorance or a trampling of human dignity? Right and wrong, good and evil, values have been completely distorted in the face of money becoming immoral and violating ethics. For women who sell their wombs, they are treating their bodies as tools, which is a great disrespect for life. Today, people are reflecting more deeply on the topic of surrogacy. When money can transcend national borders, bypass laws, and reshape reproductive methods, who will be responsible for the children? Are such children still considered human beings? Do surrogate mothers who carry a child for 10 months truly feel no affection, or are they merely tools for production? Again, the question remains. In today's society, people don't know whether times have changed or if human dignity has declined. That's all for today. If you enjoy our content, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with a friend. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time.